inaugural cup winners. Chris Economides wins the cup for Melbourne Victory. Sydney FC then win the cup, and MacArthur for the second time are Australia Cup winners.
The opening night of the Hahn Australia Cup is upon us, and here in the Northern Territory, one of two Cinderella stories is guaranteed to go on. It's round of 32 action from the top end, where a piece of history awaits for the winner. In one corner, local league leaders Darwin Olympic, a capital powerhouse with over 60 trophies in their cabinet tonight, hoping to go where no side from the state has ever been before, and secure the Northern Territory's first Australia Cup win after 9 failed attempts. Awaiting them are Cup newcomers, Nunawading City, 2025's lowest ranked entrant from VPL2 in Victoria. They are anything but your average football club. They've got a clubroom wall that displays a mural of Johan Cruyff, Pep Guardiola and Ange Postecoglou. They've got a thriving junior program who learn a brand of football inspired by those greats of the game. And now they get the chance to play the Nunna way on the national stage. In the beautiful setting sun at Larrakia Park, one way or another, a new chapter in a footballing fairy tale is going to come to fruition. And all smiles on the faces of the players who are about to emerge from the tunnel at Larrakia Park. Just a massive opportunity for these two sides to hit uncharted territory. The round of 16, of course, the prize on offer for either side who progressed today. 9 attempts from Northern Territory sides in the past, all have ended in failure, but that's been against second-tier NPL opposition, A-League sides. It has never been against a side like Nunawading, who call the third tier of state football in Victoria home. So in the decade of the Australia Cup, this is the best chance that a team from the territory has had to progress. But Nunawading will have a few ideas about that as they make their debut bow on the national stage, having gone on a giant killing run through the Victorian qualifying rounds, knocking out North Sunshine Eagles, 1 league above, and Hume City 4-0 in the qualifying game by a scoreline of 4-0. They are a great team in the cup competitions. It's been a slightly different story in the league this season, but they are ready to embrace what a round of 32 matchup in the top end has to offer. So much to like about this fascinating round of 32 tie. It's a competition that's so often about, you know, the A-League teams v the state sides, the David v Goliath battles. It's not often you get to see David take on David. And that is why these Darwin Olympic players are so excited for the opportunity that awaits tonight. And it is the Darwin team who line up with 4 players who lay claim to prior National Round Australia Cup experience. Goalkeeper Dion Newell travelled to Queensland with Casuarina in 2021. He marshals a back four that is led by stand-in captain Katea Matete, with first-choice skipper Will Reeve currently in Europe to go and see Oasis. Further afield, the player to watch out for is territory legend Sulav Maski in midfield. He scored the Australia Cup goal of the tournament in 2018, and he will be more than likely to link up regularly with fellow Nepalese international and new signing Abhishek Rijal, as well as top scorer Endry Prifty, who leads the line. There's a number of Darwin Olympic junior graduates on the bench as well, including 15-year-old reserve keeper Michael Cortesis. 3 changes for Nunawading from their side that went down 2-1 to the Eltham Redbacks at the weekend. In defence, 18-year-old Harry Hodgick is one of 4 Nunawading mini-roos in the matchday squad. They've come all the way through Nunawading's junior program. One of the others, club captain Felix Dimitrakis in midfield, a former Nunawading junior teammate of current Auckland FC star Jake Brimmer. In attack, South Sudan international Dennis Deluri makes his first start since April in a front three that will include Alex Kabenko and Stu Edgar, Nunawading's top scorers this season, both with 9 goals to their name across the league and cup competitions. It is a debut on the national rounds of the Australia Cup, not just for Nunawading, but for their head coach, Steve Vasukis. He's coached at every level of the football club, and you can see him on the end of the bench there on the right-hand side of your picture. He took over the senior reins from Fahid Ben Kalfala in 2022. As we get underway in the top end, a beautiful sunset to greet a massive opportunity for a crack at the round of 16 for both of these two teams here at Larrakia Park. Despite their stature further down the pyramid than Darwin, you can expect Nunawading to have a healthy share of the football. They're a very possession-oriented side. Of course, it was a club that went through a revolution about 17 years ago, and they set up their junior program, and the aforementioned Ange Postecoglou had a massive say in the setup of the club and the ideals that have led them to this point, arguably the biggest game in their history, showing Australia the way that they like to play. High intensity possession football. Darwin, the home side, the Heat will have a lot to say about that, because they have had a fantastic season so far in the local competition, as Rajal looks to fight against Dennis Deluri and Nick Apostolopoulos. It is a big opportunity, a big test for Darwin. They have scarcely put a foot wrong this season under head coach John Sackness. Actually returned to the club as head coach this season after 6 years in Victoria. It's a real collision of his worlds today. You'll be able to hear over the course of this half the fervent chanting of the original Reds. Darwin Olympics active support behind the goals. It's cut out this time by Andrew Vachilio. Here is the original Reds in the background there. As Nunawading look to silence that vocal home support. Deluri, outside of the foot pass, finds Edgar, who frees the feet, and it's off the post and in. Nunawading off the mark on the national stage. And who else but Stewie Edgar, their joint top scorer, the man whose masterclass against whom sent them to the national rounds, makes the difference inside 3 minutes at Larrakia Park. It was he who started the move with the pass to Dennis Deluri, returned the favour, and that little shooting angle was all he needed for a beautiful shot past the face of Dion Newell, and a 10th of the season in all competitions for the main man, Stewie Edgar. And that is a dream start in the big time for Nunawading, and they'll be celebrating at Marnie's Reserve down in Victoria. They had junior training there tonight, but they've all been let out of training duties early to watch this game. Hello to them, as Darwin looked to come the other way. And the opening right arrived for Sulav Maski, and another shot in anger from the attacking fullback of Nirod Shrestha. Not quite to be, but a positive response to an early concession for the hosts. Intercepted again. Risky play on the edge of the penalty area from Nunawading. You will see that over the course of tonight. Picture that off chance from Nirod Shrestha. It's going to be an interesting challenge, this, for Darwin Olympic, because it is a position that in league and state cup plays, that's a risky pass across the face of goal from Dion Newell. Outside of the football, come out to Krijal Kadka. One of 5 Nepalese players currently on the books at Olympic. Taira Yoshimura. Forward to Deluri. Inside he works, Deluri. Still going now for Shilio. It's Kateya Matete who gave chase forlornly. That one's not going to work its way out to Luka Slavica on the right-hand side of the Nunawading attack. He's a man with one of the most interesting pre-game rituals you'll find in this year's edition of the Australia Cup. He has to have a serving of KFC every match day that he plays, to the point where the Nunawading boys had to go and find the local KFC so that he could fulfill his usual pre-game ritual today. He's passed it off that time to his captain in Felix Dimitrakis. It's been a long day on the road for Nunawading. They checked out of their hotel at 10:30 this morning to find a way to stay out of the heat. Head coach Steve Vasukis' solution was the museum. Nunawading have spent the day in the Darwin National Art Gallery and Museum as they look to add to their tally. That one's cleared away by Shrestha. Only as far as Alex Kabenko. Doesn't quite catch that in the way he would have hoped. Voicey lost it in stride. Taira Yoshimura picks up the pieces once more. Deluri. So it's a bit of a task that time for Nick Apostolopoulos. And out of play for a goal kick. Been in this position twice before this season, Darwin Olympic. Only 2 times have they conceded the first goal of a game this year. A team who have built their brand under John Sackness from defending from the front, but there could be more danger at the back here as Deluri is on the charge, planning to aim at in the middle, and he's blazed it past all of them. He has been the danger player so far, Dennis Deluri. A great story of injury recovery. Speaking to Steve Vasukis earlier today, he was expected to miss the entire remainder of this Victorian League campaign as forward comes Abhishek Rijal, but the offside flag of the assistant referee there to deny him. Declan Woods, the man in the middle today from Queensland. Quality referee available today, having made his debut in the A-League this year, Declan Woods. In an F3 derby, no less. Back in motion and at the feet of Tane Stevenson. It's a special night for him. One of the handful of Darwin Olympic junior graduates who feature for the side tonight as Turner is bodied by Harry Hodgic. All legal in the eyes of Declan Woods. Darwin Olympic, this their 3rd trip on the national stage, the most of any team from the territory. 10 years ago when they made their debut, Tane Stevenson was a ball kid. Now he's one of their starting central defenders. Sulav Maski trying to make himself a nuisance. And if Darwin are going to fight back into this game. The good news is they have plenty of time, but all eyes will be on Sulaf Maski to step up and potentially be the player who does it for him. He's a real legend of territory football. Making his 4th appearance on the national stage tonight. Scored twice against the Western Sydney Wanderers in 2018. 2 cracking goals. The more that Darwin can get of him on the ball, better off they'll be in this game, but they're having a tricky time getting any of it at the present moment. Vashilio Dimitrakis, lovely pass for Alex Kabenko. Still going Kabenko, really opening up a shooting angle. Slavica had it taken off his toes. And it's up and away in one to chase for Andrew Prifty. Looking to get things going quickly. Rijal turns the favour, does Andrew Prifty. It's a good turn initially, and eventually from Rijal. Decent ball as well. Stabbed away by Yoshimura. And here's Stu Edgar with back to goal. And off comes Dion Newell out of his line to deny the supply to Dennis Deluri. Matete. Pass picked off by Vashilio. Great turn from former Melbourne Victory Academy defender. Deluri. Niraj Shrestha has had his work cut out for him so far, as Dennis Deluri can't thread the needle for Stu Edgar. It's been a fantastic partnership thus far. It produced the opening goal. Good back heel to find Rijal, but the long ball rewarding the run of Andrew Prifty. It's a combination that's been working very well for Olympic recently in their league competition. Prifty and Rijal responsible for 4 of their 5 last goals, as Deluri cuts it into the Edgar direction, but well judged by Dion Newell. Voicey. Rijal for Prifty with Turner further afield. I think that long ball just got the eye in as yet, Olympic. It is a approach that they routinely like to turn to. If you watch back their goals from season 2025, a lot of them will be from those balls over the top, catching out the opposition back 4. Ishibashi. Control by Edgar. Shimura finds the safety of Harry Hodgic. Deluri. Nunawading have really targeted that right flank, the left-hand side of Niraj Shrestha. Slavica, it's a tantalizing ball. Kabenko's header, lacking accuracy and conviction. Darwin Olympic can clear. Fuki Ishibashi has nearly lost his shirt. Andrew Prifty with a firm grip on the Nunawading defender. It is eventually the Albanian attacker for Darwin who wins the free kick. And that was nearly all the way off from Fuki Ishibashi. Andrew Prifty did make the point to Declan Woods that the defender had a hand of my shirt. I think it was probably 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, and that particular coming together. There's Another attempted on ball from Darwin. Dane Turner, the player making the run that time around. Dane Turner, one of the many great stories in this Olympic side. Which is his 5th appearance of 2025 in the senior team. Often a reserves player, but he's making his return to the club and to football after an absence from the game. He was previously part of their premiership and championship wins in the late 2010s. That's a poor pass from Tane Stevenson. Edgar for Delury. Plenty of energy. Dennis Delury. Kabenko! Nunawading aren't just here to play on the national stage. They are flying. And Alex Kabenko is the man who adds to the advantage inside the opening 15 minutes. Once again, Dennis Delury. Well, he's Dennis the Menace so far in this game. 2 assists for the winger. And that one could not have been easier for Alex Kabenko, who, having momentarily been overtaken as club top scorer by Stu Edgar, now rejoins the number 9 on that perch. This is a dream start to what is looking a promising debut in the round of 32 for the boys from Marnie's Reserve. A big task ahead of Darwin Olympic. Of course, the conditions will play a role. 25 degrees, the kickoff temperature. It's not the conditions that Nunawading are used to playing in, particularly not deep in Melbourne winter this time of year. It has been raining sideways back in their home state today. They've got to keep Nunawading at bay, and that is proving a task easier said than done. Here's a chance for Dennis Delury. Just couldn't bring it down to his own advantage. Still going though, Dennis Delury. He's everywhere, but he's not on the score sheet. Wayward in the end from the 27-year-old. An attacker for whom Darwin have had no answer thus far. You wouldn't know that he missed nearly 80 days this season with injury. He's one of the handful of players out there who can lay claim to experience in proper professional football. Had a stint in Malta with Lear Athletic. The second tier, Edry Prifty. Tumaski. It's just not working in attack for Olympic at the moment. That was a flying challenge from Dimitrakis. Rijal, Voicey. An important challenge from Vigilio to rid him of the ball. Booming switch of play for Rabin Shrestha. One of the 2 Shresters out there for Darwin Olympic tonight, no relation. It's extremely common surname in their home country of Nepal. Kataya Matete. Back to Dion Newell. If you were seeing double elsewhere on the team sheet tonight, it's because Kataya is not the only Matete in the team. His brother Charles, older brother, on the bench tonight. Expect him to feature in the second half potentially. talked about Luka Slavitz's pre-game KFC. Not the only player out there with some fascinating pre-game antics. Kataja Matete, no exception. He's got a persistent cramp problem. He cramps up almost every game in the stifling Darwin heat. And so he, as a precaution, drinks pickle juice before every single game. Hopefully, it's not a superstition shared by Luka Slavica, because pickle juice and KFC, it doesn't strike me as a winning combination. Slavica on the ball here. Back to Dimitrakis, who pops a nice pass out to Apostolopoulos. And in turn for Edgar. Delury was going at 1,000,000 miles an hour to his right. And eventually that is where the ball travels. Slavica with a clever turn. Edgar. Back to Dennis Delury. Manages to keep it alive, but not before Kataja Matete can come in with the all-important touch. Well, did he keep it alive, Dennis Delury? I don't think he did. He just lost his footing on the surface. He's a bit slippery at the moment, Larrakia Park. In addition to being one of the largest pitches in the country, he's currently got a bit of a turf disease. You may notice the various darker spots and pock marks across the pitch. Symptoms of that disease. I understand it still plays fairly well, but can be a little more slippy underfoot than perhaps Darwin, but certainly Nunawading are accustomed. Dimitrakis. Part of the furniture at Nunawading. Good ball for Kubenko, but an attacking talent in his third season at Nunawading. It's just the wrong side of the defender that time around. All looking good for Nunawading so far. They have largely had this game their own way. Looking good to become just the third side from the third tier of state football. So the fourth step in the Australian pyramid, if you include the A-League, to win at the round of 32 stage. The eighth team from that level of football to make this part of the cup. And they may have another chance to add to their advantage. Stewie Edgar has gone down. And Declan Woods did not hesitate. Straight to the spot. And Nunawading could be sitting oh so pretty inside this first half. It was Tane Stevenson who got in a tangle with the Nunawading frontman. And Declan Woods didn't take too much time to think about it. And Alex Kubenko has won the battle with Dennis Delury to take this spot kick. A big test for Dion Newell. 2 goals is a tough task. 3 would make the molehill a mountain for Darwin. As Kubenko looks to make his a double. Big moment in the round of 32 this. Kubenko slots it home. Everything is coming up Nunawading on their round of 32 debut. Alex Kubenko doubles his money, and we've not even played 25 minutes. And the VPL2 outfit are 3 to the good. Newell guessed the right way, but it just squeaked under the body of Dion Newell. He'll be frustrated that he couldn't get any contact on that one. Alex Kubenko didn't care one jot. .11 now for the campaign. 8 of those 11 have come on the road. He's clearly a player who loves to travel in the blue of Nunawading. Formerly of Langwarrin Soccer Club and Springvale White Eagles. He has really found a happy home at Marnie's Reserve. And now it is a really tall order for Darwin Olympic. They do have goals in them. It's keeping Nunawading out at the other end that is going to prove the tall task. It's one characteristic, though, of a side who lay claim to the best defence in the territory this season. 9 clean sheets. 9 points clear of the next nearest team in the Men's Premier League atop the table this season. Apostolopoulos. Inside for Slavica. Really great close control does the 23-year-old. Dane Turner that time taking exception to the heavy attention he was receiving from his Nunawading marker. Fancy that may have earned him a spot in the book. The scoreline certainly hasn't dampened the spirits of the original Reds. As their side with another fruitless forward foray. That's a strong challenge from Abhishek Rajal, and well, no doubt about it, he is definitely into the book. He's the 12th-time Nepalese international. Been brewing because Prifty went in, and then, for good measure, Rajal cleaned through the body of Nick Apostolopoulos. Launched forward by Dennis Martin. One in the air by Dennis Deluri, but not to the advantage of any of his teammates. Oh, that looked a little risky from Abhishek Rajal. It's an incident that is worth having another look at. Rajal, of course, on a card that he picked up just seconds ago. Foul has definitely been called, but the Nunawading players are asking the question of that possible elbow on Andrew Vasilio. And it is a straight red after consultation. With his assistant referees, Declan Woods has dipped into the back pocket. And don't be fooled by that one. I don't believe it is Andrew Vasilio who's coming off. It is Abhishek Rajal, the guilty party. And his dream, Abhishek Rajal, of playing on the national stage has taken just 27 minutes to become a nightmare. Declan Woods wasn't in the ideal position, but his assistant referee over on the far side, Nico Samarkos, certainly was. And dare I say it, he saw exactly what you would have done at home, and Darwin Olympic are down by 3 and down to 10 as the half hour approaches at Larrakia Park. It is all looking good for the boys from VPL2. And the irony of it all is, commanding as they have looked in cup competitions, It is now 11 unanswered goals they've scored in the Cup. It's been a different story in the league. As the cross is lifted in towards Stu Edgar. Wide again, Kete Matete just watching it past the field of play. And he's going to have more work to do here because it is wanting a corner on the way. So taking a little touch for a member of that Darwin back four. As you can see, it's been a very efficient performance from Nunna. 3 shots on target, 3 goals. Can't argue with that expected goals, though. Slavic's bending ball off the crossbar, a second chance, tipped away by Newell. Ishibashi rose for it. And in the end, it's just a misfire from the Japanese defender. Newell didn't have to make a save in the end. Stewie Edgar with the initial header off the crossbar. The 31st minute mark, Darwin's keeper has given up the ghost of playing out from the back. It's a long ball forward. It falls at the lap of Entry Prifty. Kubenko. Nunawading have been effervescent so far, particularly down the flanks, where Kubenko is trusting his running. And it's Krijal Katka who was able to do enough. Edgar flicks it out to his own advantage. Dimitrakis. Kubenko stopping and propping. It's a good switch of play to pick out Hodgic. Kostolopoulos back to Yoshimura. Right-footed in swinger. Well controlled by Lukas Slavica. A few questions of a handball, but Nunawading won't be getting another penalty from this particular attack. Kubenko. Disguised ball to an offside Andrew Vachilio. Well, they have been imperious in the Cup. Nunawading, it has been a very different story in the VPL2 competition, the Victorian Premier League. They sit 12th. They've won just 1 game in their last 7, albeit that's in all competitions going into this one. 1 win in 6 in the league. Currently in the midst of a very hot relegation battle in that particular competition. 7 teams in the gun, 8th through 14th, separated by just 5 points. Nunawading sit on 23 points, at the bottom side on 22. So with 3 teams going down in that competition, they have still got their work cut out for them in the competition. There is extenuating circumstances, of course. They've been a team heavily beset by injuries. Of Kane O'Connor and Santiago Lapino, Netzi Bramic, all unavailable tonight. And, dare I say, there is a certain irony to a club inspired by the teachings of Ange Postecoglou having a disappointing league season headlined by a series of injuries, but going great guns in the Cup. If it sounds familiar, I've heard a similar story at Tottenham Hotspur last season. It'll be silverware if they are to progress tonight, but it will feel as good as a Europa League victory for Nunawading. Job's not done there yet, though. Deluri cross blocked. Will it fall to the aid of Nick Apostolopoulos? The answer is no. In came Niroj Shrestha. to break up the attack. Dimitrakis. A couple of birds have made their home on the opposite side of the pitch. They're now scurrying as Fuki Ishibashi marches through the central channel. Lovely turn by Taira Yoshimura. Back he receives it from Deluri. Better defending in the last few minutes though from Darwin Olympic. John Sackness, their head coach on the touchline, will be really intent to keep Nunawading just to 3 by the break. Northern Territory side have only scored 4 goals on the national stage in the 9 games leading up to this. The curious part about that stat is all of the goals that the teams from Darwin have scored have actually come against A-League opposition. You would expect they might have found the net against NPL outfits, but no, they are goalless against teams from the second tier and below. 36 unanswered goals as Newell has come off his line, and the empty net is available for Dennis Deluri to get in on the act. And on the quality of his set-up play today, he more than deserves a spot on the scorer's sheet. 4-0, Nunawading before the break. Dennis Deluri again involved. Dion Newell completely misjudged it, and it was all too easy for the South Sudan international to make his mark with a round of 32 goal. And those of a Nunawading persuasion who are watching on in the eastern suburbs of Victoria, those juniors who are watching on tonight at Marnie's Reserve with their technical director Greg Mangonis, you can just about hear their cheers all the way from several hundred kilometres south up in the territory tonight. This is going better than even they could imagine. In their opening bow on the national stage. Chilio found offside again. Tough times for Robin Shrestha. He's had his hands full with Alex Kabenko so far. Another one of the Darwin contingent who have played on the national stage before. This has Dion Newell. Conceded 6 against Lions, playing for Casuarina in 2021. Apologies for the very particularly worded instructions left to Robin Shrestha by one of his teammates that time, but it's a fair point. They've had a hard time, Darwin, keeping the ball, and they could be caught out at the other end. Kabenko lost his footing, so too did Shrestha. And Nuna might be able to have another crack. Yoshimura, Deluri, the reverse pass, wonderful! It's 5! And they are playing the Nuna way on the national stage now. That is the kind of football that they teach their juniors, that they play at the top level. And Taira Yoshimura scores for the first time since his debut in round 1 for the side. And that was their best team move of the lot. Beautiful passing in the lead up. And Nunawading are just about home and hosed before the break. Dion Newell got an outstretched leg to it, but Yoshimura could not be stopped. It's another assist for Dennis Delury. 3 and a goal for Nuna's number 10, and that's the incredible part about this evening's unfolding so far. Some of the chief protagonists, Dennis Delury and Taira Yoshimura, have been some of the players who Steve Vasoukas has barely been able to see in a Nunawading shirt this season. Just 20 league appearances between them going into tonight. Both of them missing 11 rounds of the regular season. Now making up for lost time against Darwin Olympic tonight. Edgar at full stretch. Couldn't make anything of that one. What has been an event-filled opening 45 at Larrakia Park. 5 goals and a red card if you were hoping for an entertaining clash between two of the Australia Cup underdogs in 2025. Well, you've certainly got that on the scoreline. Cut out by Isaac Voicey. Kebenko flipping the field for Apostolopoulos. Player who is getting his first appearance on the national stage tonight, but has played as part of a Bentley Greens team who are famed for their cup runs. Great sliding challenge by Tane Stevenson, and again, good commitment from the young defender. Kebenko shoved off it by Shrestha. And an easy decision in the end for the referee, Declan Woods. You're thinking surely not, but on the balance of play, it is a possibility. The potential for Nunawading to bag a 6th before half-time, which I dare say would be an Australia Cup national round record. We may already be in that territory as Yoshimura delivers to the head of Hodgic, or rather Andrew Vigilio, a player whose long wait for a Nunawading goal will continue. Over a year since he last found the back of the net against FC Melbourne Serbia. Good laydown by Prifty for Turner. He lost out to the weight of numbers, and Prifty really has been ploughing a lone furrow atop the formation. Slavica. Dimitrakis. The way they knock the ball around the back, you can see the influences that they've got. That time though, Slavica, a bit of a half-hearted push forwards. Just as quickly as they lose it, Nunawading, they're able to win it back. Kebenko. Yoshimura. Slavica, Delury in space. A heavy touch. Will Apostolopoulos keep it alive? He will. Yoshimura rose. And Kebenko will have another crack down the left. Or will he? Heads for home. They have been swashbuckling in front of goal in the cup, have Nuna. Ball over the top. Delury chips it to his own advantage. Is there a shot at the end of this? There's a cutback and a 6th. Stu Edgar adds to the tally. And Nunawading are loving life in the top end. 6 goals before the break.
Goal number 9.
And on their first appearance in the national stage, they are pushing themselves towards record territory with a 6th inside the opening 45. And Deluri, stop me if you've heard it before, central to it. There's yet another assist for the number 10, and he was rewarded for his persistence. Stewie Edgar, free as a bird in the middle, to stroke it home for a sweet 6th and his 2nd. And I was hoping, as the 4th official adds 2 minutes onto this game, does Nasir Jamoon, Krijal Katka, Kateya Matete, .28 goals. Nunawading have scored now in their cup run. Which, to put it into perspective, the difference between their league and cup campaigns accounts for over 40% of all the goals they've scored this season. Good challenge by Katka to get it away from Luka Slavica. Darwin Olympic will just be desperate to get into the sheds at this point. Final minute of stoppage time. They're not far away from getting their wish. I was hoping that it wouldn't have to be mentioned before the break, but it would be remiss of me not to point out, as we talk about record territory for most goals in a first half, I dare say Nunawading are already there, but record win on the national stage of the Australia Cup is 8-0. Sydney FC against the Darwin Rovers in 2017. Kabenko to the byline. Options available in the middle. Stu Edgar and Alex Kabenko both would have their eyes on a first half hat trick. And we'll get a corner to close out the opening 45 of this one. Half time in the top end. Nunawading with 1 foot in a historic round of 13 berth on their debut.
What are you doing?
We're planking.
It's because of our internet providers.
We're stuck in 2011.
Same slow internet speeds.
And high prices.
It's like a nightmare.
Enough planking. Superloop is a network purpose-built for the super-fast future of the internet. You are free.
Don't take it lying down, Australia. Refresh your internet.
top scorer in 2025. And it was that central area where Darwin just found it so difficult to stop an effervescent Nunawading City attack, and an efficient Nunawading City attack as well. 6 shots on target, producing 6 goals. In a very, very ruthless and clinical performance for a Nunawading side who have found that clinicality hard to come by otherwise, but you can see their dominance reflected elsewhere in their stats. Nearly twice as many passes as Darwin Olympic and close to 3 times as many entries into that final third. They've been able to muster a couple of shots Olympic from those 14 final third entries, but nothing that has been a significant danger to the goal of Dennis Martin. And that is where they'll set their sights to change everything in the second half. Darwin playing for pride, Nunawading City playing to enjoy, and potentially playing for a record win on the national stage. Still plenty of entertainment to come at Larrakia Park on the other side of the break.
Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause as we introduce both teams out of the park to start the second half, please.
Dreamland in Darwin for Nunawading City. Dennis Delury, the chief architect of a breathtaking first half display for the side from Victoria's third state tier. 1 goal and 4 assists for their magic number 10 as Nunawading City piled 6 goals on in a single half. Yes, 6 goals in 45 minutes. It is almost certainly a record in the Australia Cup. It has left the home side, Darwin Olympic, with a bit of a sour taste in their mouth as they look to stem the bleeding in the second 45. They have made a second half substitution, which we will bring you very shortly. It's as though it'll be a great chance for Darwin in the second half to turn to some of the young players who have come through their academy, and you would imagine Nunawading may well do the same as the home side get us underway, having made a half-time substitution. Well, we've got a half-time substitution of our own in the commentary box. Lockie Flanagan joined by Roy O'Donovan after 45 minutes. And Roy, I dare say it's great to have you here in the booth, but maybe you should have gone up for half-time in Darwin instead. They could have used your firepower at the break.
Absolutely. If they could do with anything at this stage, they're struggling, aren't they?
It has been a tough task for the table toppers in the Northern Territory so far. Nunawading have been absolutely breathtaking in attack. Roy, you might not have had a chance to see just how swashbuckling they were in that opening 45, but you have heard a little bit about the way this team like to play. We've certainly seen that sort of Ange Postecoglou-inspired football so far on the national stage.
Yeah, well, Lockie, talk is cheap, but they're certainly delivering on their talk here. 6-0. Dennis Delury's having a day out, and more to come, I'm sure. Darwin on the ropes at home, and 6-0 down at half-time. It's not a nice place to be.
Well, it certainly is not, and it would be... I don't want to mention it too often, but, you know, Nunawading, they're not just coming to get through to the round of 16, but they're coming to do so with a bang. You could argue they've already done that, but the record win in the Australia Cup, 8-0 in 2017, Sydney FC against the Darwin Rovers. So Nunawading have the opportunity to break a record set by an A-League team, and 2017 Sydney FC, that was a very good A-League team.
Yeah, look, I'm not a betting man, but I would say that's a banker at this stage. 6-0 and 45 minutes to play. So, yeah, I would say that's a given at this point. But let's see what Darwin have to offer. Have they got a bit of character, a little bit of grit, and some pride in their performance now to keep it some bit reasonable?
It was a well-intentioned ball into the path of a player who's come on at half-time in Christian Cavallo, hoping to continue what has been a very handy record of goals in the Cup for Nunawading so far. 3 goals in his last 3 games in Cup competition for them. And a player who lays claim to some A-League experience, one A-League appearance for Melbourne City back in 2016. Of course, the other factor, which both teams will feel, Roy, and I'm sure having played many summers of football in the A-League, you would have, you know, not quite Darwin levels, but experienced playing through this heat. It'll probably affect Nunawading more than it does Darwin, but how does that play into your footballing psyche as you go through a game in these sort of conditions? Yeah, well, certainly when you're playing in the A-League and you go to somewhere like Adelaide in the summer or Perth in the summer, it's a different kind of game, and it's usually an advantage for the home team. And Darwin Olympic, in their own season, they're top of the league and away and very comfortable. And Nunawading this year, they're kind of, no, they play lovely football, no doubt about it, but they're kind of middling in that third division in Victoria. So you would have thought the heat would have had more of a factor, Lockie, but yeah, not for the boys from Melbourne. Yeah, well, I spoke to the president of Darwin, Nick Halakidis, and they were really setting their sights on keeping this game scoreless for as long as possible because of that heat. You know, the sort of longer they can keep it goalless, the opposition team starts to tire out, and that might present the openings. But it hasn't quite panned out how their beloved president, who was a former player of the club actually, would have hoped.
No, but nonetheless, it's great for the neutral, great for the spectator, and as I'm sure has been mentioned already, the magic of the cup, Lockie.
It certainly is. I mean, these Nunawading players, I imagine some of them would have pinched themselves at half-time. I mean, it's a daunting prospect coming onto the national stage at the first ever time of asking, and to do it like this is quite something, as it's played back to Dennis Martin. Darwin Olympic bringing a nice bit of pressure here. Mojic able to work it inside to Yoshimura, who stabs it in the direction of Stewie Edgar. And that is a very high line being employed by Dion Newell. Certainly a player who's not being affected by that heat just yet if he's a goalkeeper making runs like that.
But I must say, didn't they handle that well? That high press from Darwin Olympic, obviously got a point to prove, let's get a goal. But they played out beautifully there.
Dare I say it, the way that Nunawading like to play, they've had to become very accustomed to playing around this kind of pressure. It's produced very good results for them on the national stage thus far, as continue to canter forward here. Across it comes for the main man, the protagonist of the first half, Dennis Delury. And now top of the box, Vachilio. Good save by Newell. Edgar tried to find James Reardon, another Nunawading player who's come on at the break. Nothing doing. That'll be a good confidence booster, if nothing else, for Dion Newell, because they had 6 shots on target in the first half, Nunawading, for 6 goals. That's the first time they've got one within the frame of goal, and they've been able to deny their opponents.
And he done well. It was a smart stop, and they cleared their lines for once. I'm sure they wish they could have done that more in the first half, but here we are.
Shibashi wide to Reardon. Of the 6 junior graduates in the Nunawading squad tonight is James Reardon. But a fabled youth production pathway was, of course, inspired by the man who must be taking royalties every time we mention his name on this broadcast, in Ange Postecoglou, because it was 7 years ago when the general manager of Nunawading, Nick Dimitrakis, set up the club already had existed since 1971, but set up the junior program, which they didn't previously have, which was modelled off the V-Elite state development program that Postecoglou ran when he was between jobs, and a long way from the A-League and a long way from the Premier League, that's for sure.
But I love that, though. I love that story of, you know, having a role model and someone like Ange who's put, you know, Australian coaching on the map for them to build their whole...
Good turn here by Edgar. Big deflection. And I reckon Stu Edgar will be claiming that as a hat-trick after 51 minutes played. Their top goal scorer, unstoppable against Darwin Olympic. And Nunawading now are 1 goal away from record territory on their national stage debut, Roy O'Donovan.
Yeah, all very easy. Defender got sold very easily there with a step over, and it's an unfortunate deflection, but I think Stuart Edgar will be delighted there, and he's going to claim the hat-trick all day long.
I mean, if that were you...
I'm claiming it all. I'm still claiming it. I'm not even playing.
Spot the striker in the commentary booth. So a hat-trick for Stu Edgar, 7 for Nunawading. A night beyond their wildest dreams on the national stage. And here is another man who will be hoping that he can join Stu Edgar in the hat-trick party in Alex Kabenko. This is almost... I mean, you wouldn't, if you're Nunawading, you wouldn't change anything about this so far, because it allows them not just to progress through potentially to the next round of the Cup, but also maybe take the foot off the pedal a little bit. You know, they've got a big battle to come in that bottom half of the table. As Delury pokes it forward, Edgar, the back heel, brilliant. And the Nunawading attackers thwarted by Olympics defence in the end. Turner. Turning freely, and they found little pockets here and there in midfield, Darwin, but it's been getting the ball any further than that has proved to be quite the tall order. Indri Prifty. He's a veteran of the Darwin scene, the 36-year-old. It's his first year at Darwin Olympic, having previously played and scored with regularity for Port Darwin. Kabenko happy to keep that one alive. It's held up in the turf perfectly for him. And Andrew Prifty, very interesting signing story, not with Darwin, but in the Northern Territory. He just moved from Melbourne a few years ago. He was playing beach football casually on Mindle Beach, and he got scouted. As the ball crossed in, Edgar missed control, and Cavallo looked to have another crack. You've never been scouted for a team while playing on the beach, have you?
No, never been scouted for a team, especially not on Mindle Beach, no. But yeah, he must have had a nice touch.
Yeah. Well,
you know, it's very hard to see someone's moving on the beach, though, I must say, Lockie.
It's a lot of faith in the player, as Matete makes the interception from the run of Tari Yoshimura. So, slightly under-hit back pass from Darwin's half-time substitute, Isaiah Hussein. A great story, and this is going to be the part that Darwin Olympic will look back on in this cup night, the chance to blood some of their youngsters. Isaiah Hussein playing at fullback at 16 years of age, as Edgar flicks it to Deluri. And this time, the Darwin defence does have an answer for Dennis. 1 goal, 4 assists in the first half. That's just crazy by any standard. I mean, have you ever found yourself, Roy, in a situation where you've been blown away like that in a game? Where's the head at? What's the coach saying at halftime? How do you even pick yourself up when a game is that far beyond you? Yeah, well, never to that level. You know, I've been 2 or 3 down at halftime, and yeah, you're in all sorts of trouble, and you're on the receiving end of a few volleys from your own supporters and the coach. But yeah, to be in this situation at home as well, and a team like Nunawading who, when they get a head of steam up, they can link up really well and play some beautiful football. So I wouldn't envy Darwin Olympics' position for 1 second. It's a missed header from another one of the academy players who has come on, Smart Teofil, who alongside Isaiah Hussein represented the Northern Territory at the recent Emerging Socceroos Championships. It's a rare touch, that one, for Dennis Martin, the goalkeeper. And there is some important context to Darwin's struggle at the back. The usual captain currently absent as the space opens up for Reardon, and it's a stinging drive, but straight into the palms of Dion Newell. That's 2 smart saves for Dion Newell now in the second half, so he's getting his confidence up. As we mentioned, no captain, but more importantly, first choice central defender Will Reeve. He's currently in Europe. He had Oasis tickets pre-bought. He's between a rock and a hard place. Australia Cup round of 32 or a long-awaited Oasis reunion. It's not a position I'd like to be in. Tell you what, he's probably enjoying himself a lot more at the concert than he would be out on the pitch tonight. That's for sure. Not the only absentee for them tonight in that back line. As they make a substitution. A couple of changes coming through. It appears for both Nunawading and Darwin Olympic. Alex Demetriou, another club junior all the way back to the Mini Roos years, is coming on. I think Dennis Deluri's day has come to an end, which is a shame because he was very much impressing us, but it's a performance made even more incredible by the fact that he had an injury he was carrying so bad that he was expected to not play again this season after getting injured in the Cup a few months ago. Didn't show any ring rust in what would have been the most minutes he's played since that injury. Well, he's put his name in lights, Lockie, tonight, definitely. Dennis the Menace, and we'll hear plenty of him, I'm sure, leading to the next round. It's clear that great minds think alike, as Dennis the Menace got a good workout in the first half as well. plenty to smile about for Nunawading, who will be starting to think about what they would like to see in the round of 16. Vachilio. This is Filippo Joffre, who's come onto the field. Yoshimura stopped in its tracks by Charles Matete. So we've got brothers on the pitch. Charles, the brother of the captain, Katea, player who's returned to Darwin Olympic from Missouri United. He's on the ball. I mean, even just a goal at this point would mean a lot, as the keeper is found off his line. And has he handled that one outside the area? Oh, that was no whistle from the referee, Declan Woods. Boy, you might maybe want to have another look at that one. I think the referee
is showing a bit of leniency there, maybe. But yeah, I think the goalkeeper found himself in no man's land there, and he's just got away with it.
Well, dare I say it, Darwin could use a bit of luck going their way this evening, as Nunawading continue to rack up the final third entries. Look, still plenty to be proud of. Darwin getting back to this stage for the first time since 2019. Great experience for some of the young players to look back on, even if the result will go down as one they'd rather forget. Of course, they've been down to 10 men since the 28th minute mark. Abhishek Rajal getting his marching orders as Alex Dimitriou looks to turn on the Jets. He's a lightning quick player.
But of course, the red card has changed the outcome of the game drastically. We know that. But, you know, I suppose they're finding it so hard, Darwin Olympic, to find options and to go forward. They're struggling to get out of the half now at this point in the game, which is so frustrating for them.
It's been a tough task thus far. The long drive is fantastically saved by Newell. Taira Yoshimura getting everything behind that, and well, he wouldn't have been best pleased with his performance in the second half, Roy, but the Darwin keeper is standing tall in the second.
He's made 3 great saves in the second half, and that was a terrific strike. I thought I was sailing in the top corner there.
That would have been quite the way to make headlines on the opening night of the Australia Cup from Taira Yoshimura. As the corner comes in, it's Yoshimura who was able to pluck it out of the night sky. Just lost the ball in flight there. Andrew Prifty happy to watch it out for a throw. The topic of Mindle Beach is it's not just relevant to Andrew Prifty, it's a recurring theme throughout this Darwin side, because I think he's come off the field now, but Krijal Kadka, he's got limited availability for training. The reason why, Roy, he works the tables at the Mindle Beach Casino.
Ah, there you go.
So all of these players are, of course, managing their day jobs and training commitments against work schedules, which is part of the great thing about this Australia Cup. It's a slightly different level. Even the third state tier of Victoria, they take their football very seriously. Nunawading, I believe, still train 3 times a week like a fully fledged top tier NPL side. So Prifty knocks it back to Matete. The blind pass, a risky one, but lots of fortune that time around for Olympic. Only as far as the front half of the field. Dimitriou. Still in the young is Alex Dimitriou, but he's made over 75 appearances for Nunawading. Lofted ball. Getting a touch in was Paraskos Kuhn. It's good football. Beautiful back heels. Yoshimura, a delicate pass. If there's a goal at the end of this, it'll be special. But Joffre, I think, was just in an offside position. But I guess that's the beauty of being up 7-0. You can start to be a bit more fluid and artistic with your passing selection.
Yeah, and they are. They look like the shoulders are loose. They're bopping it around. It's like a training game. But I want to ask you, because you're the expert in all things Victorian football. They play this lovely brand of football. What is the issue at the moment in their league form?
Well, I mean, sometimes that rigid commitment to playing a certain style, to playing it out from the back, can be tricky. But I think one of the important things, speaking to their head coach Steve Vasuka, is a bit of misfortune. You know, we talk about how many of the shots on target they've converted into goals today. He's been lamenting the profligacy that they've had over the course of this season. Injuries, they have lost some key players. The scary thing about tonight is they're missing 3 or 4 sort of first-team options who would otherwise walk up, players who are coming back from injury. But I think physically as well is the big thing. There's a lot of players in this Nunawading side who are, you know, very, very young. I think their 25 team has got 9 players who are born after 2002. And the lower levels of Victoria, you get big bodies. It's a very physical competition across all of the state tiers, and maybe that's sometimes where a passing game doesn't always quite stack up. I spoke to their team manager, said that, you know, a lot of the other teams in the competition, they play much more of a long ball sort of, these are his words, not mine, AFL sort of Australian rules football sort of style, which it doesn't always jive with the passing approach of Nunawading. But as you said, you know, you've got to, even if it doesn't always produce the results, there are extenuating circumstances, of course, you have to admire the commitment to doing that, because it's not just the senior team who play this way, it's every level of the youth setup that go about this the same way with the same principles. And what it produces, as we're seeing tonight, is ready-made players who come out of that youth academy ready to step into the senior fold.
Well, they certainly have an identity. They play football, no doubt about it, but I think sometimes, and you find this as you go up the levels, there is a real mix that you have to have with playing beautiful football and winning. And to win, sometimes you need to have that bit of physicality and that bit of an edge. And yeah, look, they're going to have definitely tougher tasks than Darwin Olympic, but what we've seen so far has been terrific to watch, I must say. Very easy on the eye, the kind of football everybody would like to play in, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. As Olympic look to mount a rare forward 4-8, Charles Matete. Isaiah Hussein heads for home, and as pretty as they've been with the ball at feet, they're pressing as well. It has really not stopped, and 66 minutes played, you could totally understand if Nunawading decided to just not go as hard with the press in the back off their front third of the field, but no, they're not showing any signs of letting up.
No, I think they know there's a high score record in the back pocket here if they do their job right. So no, they're waiting for that second wind to kick in and come home with a wet sail.
Carlos Abud has come onto the field. He's played the ball off that time to Apostolopoulos, and now Joffre with options in the middle, a deflected cross. Abud! Instant impact from the substitute. He gets his 3rd goal in as many Australia Cup games. And Nunawading City, in their first ever Australia Cup showing, have equalled an Australia Cup scoring record. Joint holders of the highest score in Cup history alongside Sydney FC.
Yeah, as you can see here, they were pulled apart on that right-hand side, but what can go wrong will go wrong for Darwin Olympic right now. I don't even know how this ball ends up in the back of the net. It defied the laws of physics to go that direction, but yeah, Carlos Abud quite rightly runs off and celebrates, and who are we to take it off him?
That was minutes, if that, after coming off the bench. That's the kind of impact you hope for from your substitutes. And speaking of substitutes, this is actually a special moment, because at 15 years of age, Michael Cortesis will make his debut on the national rounds of the Australia Cup. He has played in the senior side this season as the young goalkeeper. As part of the Northern Territory's emerging Socceroos Championship side in the under-15s, but this is a moment he'll never forget. as Darwin are looking to make another memory in their penalty area. Sulov Maski. It's the first save of the evening for Dennis Martin. No surprise that Sulov Maski is the player who ends up with it, but that's more like it.
That's
from
more
Darwin
like
Olympic.
it, exactly. Let's go down swinging, you know. Give it everything you have, leave it all out there. But going back to the goalkeeper coming on there, at 15 years old, that's quite an achievement. But what's also an achievement, I certainly couldn't grow facial hair like that at 15. He had a goatee coming onto the pitch.
I was wondering why you were doing a double take when he came onto the field. Now it all makes sense. So Darwin Olympic now with a back four that features 15-year-old Michael Cortesis in goal, Isaiah Hussein at 16 at fullback. Smart Teofil is another under-18 player. So they've got a handful of youngsters out there now. Like I said, the result is almost secondary to how special this will be for those players. And the first test may be on the way for Cortesis here, but the cross is askew off the right-hand side. So this first action will be a goal kick. You know what the most ridiculous part of this is, Roy? We've got a 15-year-old goalkeeper, national round debut for him, and he is not even close to the youngest goalkeeper and the youngest player in the Australia Cup history.
Okay, tell me, give me your knowledge.
Do you remember 2022? We saw a similar thing when Oakley Cannons were blown away by MacArthur in the semi-final.
Yes.
They brought on 13-year-old Amer Abili, 13 years of age.
I do vaguely remember that now, actually, yeah.
So it's an impressive feat, Michael, but you've still got a good year and 6 months to catch up with young Amer. Unless you're Benjamin Button, I don't think that's happening. But still, certainly one of... He may well be the second youngest player in Australia Cup history. He'd be right up there.
It's a proud moment, Doug. And look, as you said, they're losing quite comprehensively here, but it's such a proud moment for all their families, for the club to be at this stage, and I'm sure they'll be saying with the youth that they have in their squad that the future's bright, and they'll be back at this point again, I'm sure.
It was something that their head coach, John Stackness, who has won championships as a player and coach previously at this club, and well, they're 9 points clear atop the men's Premier League table. He may add to that tally, but he's been away in Victoria for the last 6 years, and a lot of that time spent out of the game as two 15-year-olds exchange passes. Not every day you say that on the national rounds. But he got back into football last year, and part of his enticement for returning to Darwin Olympic is he's been seeing the calibre and the opportunity to work with the quality of the youngsters that Darwin have got. 5 exports they had in that Emerging Socceroos Championship, and well, he's certainly sticking to his ambitions coming to the club. He's giving these players the opportunity.
It's great, and as you said, it's on the national stage, it's on the TV. They've got you and me talking about them. Well, me for a half, you for both. You know, so it's a proud day for their family, and it just shows the growth in the club, and people are trying to do the right things all around the country, and especially up in the Northern Territory.
Jane Stevenson has gone in the book for that foul as Nunawading take the free kick quickly, but well marshalled by young smart Teofile. Actually kindred spirits in some regards, Nunawading and Darwin Olympic, because like Nunawading, who didn't have a junior program until 17 years ago, Darwin only stood up their junior development system in 2005 and starting to bear fruit for the senior team. Jane Stevenson, another one of those. He's been part of that, as is Isaac Voicey. Just played that pass up top to Paraskos Koo. An entire passing chain of Darwin youth graduates. Koo.
This is better. Just a bit sloppy there in the end, but it's nice just to see them linking up and passing the ball around and breaking lines. Not always be the punching bag.
And there's still time enough to give themselves a positive to take out of this evening in terms of the actual performance, something beyond the youth debutants. Can't take away from the great buzz that there's been around the club in the lead up, even if Nunawading have been dominant from go to woe. They are joint record holders. I wonder how much they fancy their chances of becoming outright record holders. Well, they've got to keep Darwin at bay at the other end, because here comes Isaac Voicey. Paraskos Coombe. Is this a special moment brewing for Darwin Olympic? Coombe forced to backtrack, and it comes to naught in the end. And now Nunawading can counter. It's the fast feed of Kubenko alongside Tane Stevenson. Big shove, and no penalty. Lovely turn that by Isaiah Hussein, the 15-year-old putting on a show on the left flank. Just always fighting against the weight of numbers. It's all very isolated and stretched whenever they do get it into the front third.
Nunawading's press when they lose the ball is absolutely outstanding as well. The way they all come together as a team, and straight away when they win the ball back, it's like a coiled spring. They're on the counter attack up the other end of the pitch. It's great to watch when it's done right.
You wouldn't know that this was a team that had to check out of their hotel at 10:30 this morning and had to beat the Darwin Heat all day. It was a legitimate concern going into the game, you know, how these players have got to be outside all day, deal with the heat. Well, it sapped their energy, but they have not looked to be phased. Maybe it was their trip to the Darwin Museum. That's what they did today on match day. They went to the Darwin Museum as a group.
Well, that's one way to keep cool.
Air conditioned.
Yeah. I'm sure there was a few people after walking around the museum wanted to have a nap, but no, they came here and switched on for the game, and they showed no butterflies. They've, as you said, from start to finish, they've been in total control.
Well, they wanted the away trip to the Northern Territory. They've gotten their wish, but I don't think even Nunawading City could have wished for the night that it's been for them so far. Back at the feet of Nick Apostolopoulos. Nunawading getting a chance to try and spring a move of their own from the back. Of course, their celebrations will to be a little bit limited. They do, of course, have very important final month of the league campaign coming up, and they still need to mark themselves safe from a potential relegation. It's going to be a slightly stymied celebration, not least because, as I understand it, they are heading home tonight. So good thing they're not going to extra time and penalties, because they would be getting a little bit worried about final boarding calls.
Yeah, they've had a big day. They've had a trip to the museum, out of the hotel at 10:30 after their cornflakes, and the red-eye flight back to Melbourne.
Nunawading have produced an Australian footballing equivalent of Ferris Bueller's Day Off. It's been quite something. Here comes the cross. It's struck low. It was a bit betwixt and between a shot and a cross, but whether it was one or the other, the end result the same. The goal kick for Michael Cortesis. Kataya Matete, robbed of the ball by Kubenko. Cavallo, the man in the middle, and Kubenko hits the turf. And the whistle was immediate from Declan Woods. Looks like it's landed just the right side of the penalty area, though, from a Darwin Olympic persuasion.
Yeah, well, it was a sloppy turnover, but yeah, just outside the box there. Luckily, because that would have been the easiest chance to break the record.
Contact didn't end inside the box, but even if Kubenko, the player foul, did. Danger not done, though, for Darwin. The scoop delivery headed away at the first time of asking. Here's Reardon. Alex Dimitriou. Player of many talents, Alex Dimitriou, alongside his teammate Luka Slavica, who's on the field now. High school friends. They set up a grip sock business a couple of years ago. Got a few business minds in the Nunawading team. Felix Dimitrakis as well, the owner of, I think it's a hair care business with his partner. Some smart cookies in this Darwin, or playing against this Darwin team. And they're playing some smart football. Kabenko buys a yard. He's clipped from behind by Hussein. This will be a chance for one of Nunawading's attacking lights to really sprinkle some cup magic from the dead ball.
Yeah, you got to give them a lot of credit, Darwin Olympic. With 10 men, they're giving it their all. They're giving it to the best of their ability. But yeah, the energy levels are starting to wane now, and yeah, you just worry for every challenge they go into. They're just a yard off the pace.
So Carlos Aboud and Christian Cavallo, the two standing over the free kick. There's a set-piece setup that would suit the right boot of Cavallo. And it will be Christian Cavallo, and it wasn't far away from exactly what we were speculating, a special goal to make it 9 in the cup.
Good strike from where I was sitting. It looked like it was sailing into that top corner, but a couple of inches wrong side of the crossbar.
He's a gifted technical player, Christian Cavallo. If you've watched him play in Victoria for the likes of Bentley Greens, Dandy Thunder, Dandenong City as well, you wonder what kind of heights he could have reached if not for the injuries that have hampered his career. Of course, his brother Josh, well known at the A-League level with Adelaide United. He's moved on now, but such a talented player, but succumbing to injury. So, had some good trips on the national stage of the Australia Cup. As the number 18 on the ball. Semi-finals with Bentley Greens back in the OG year of the Cup.
Yeah, well, he's got a sweet left foot, that's for sure. But as you said, injuries, you know, it's a very unfortunate part of any sports person's career, and especially at this level, trying to get the right treatment and build that around your work and trying to get back on the pitch, it doesn't get any easier.
It's kind of the great part of a night like this, though, for someone like Christian Cavallo, because a player that we maybe should have seen more on the national stage gets an opportunity to do exactly that tonight. As the offside flag comes straight up against Filippo Joffre. You just wonder if at the 81st minute mark, maybe some of these Darwin players, even Nunawading players too, are starting to feel the pinch of the extant conditions in the territory. Lost a fair bit of body weight just in sweat alone this evening.
Yeah, it's a muggy night in Darwin. I don't think Darwin does the cold, does it? I think it does hot season and wet season.
I'm sure some of these Nunawading players, it was I think a top of 32, 31 today in the top end. Most of these Nunawading players would not have seen that for several months. Yeah, it's a fraction of that temperature down in Melbourne. Pass not quite linking up for Christian Cavallo. Well, they were very active, very loud, the original Reds in the first half, but after 82 minutes they have lost a bit of their enthusiasm. Pretty impressive active contingent, though. For I know that you're not seeing their best right now, but for a team who, you know, play in what is effectively an amateur competition in the top end.
You have to respect that. Anybody that has a passion for the game, no matter what level, coming out and supporting your team and your family and your friends, that's what it's all about.
And, well, Katea Matete, his pre-match ritual, which was alerted to by a former Darwin Olympic player and commentator in Victoria, Bryce Ruffin, his pre-match ritual, Roy, of drinking pickle juice before the game to try and avoid the cramp hasn't exactly worked out for him, because he's cramped up again and he's had a double shot of pickle juice in 90 minutes.
A bit like Darwin Olympic, I think he peaked too soon.
Christian Cavallo able to keep the ball in his spell despite the ground giving way beneath his feet. Hussein made that one reasonably well. As we're inside the final 10 at Larrakia Park. to imagine whether or not those on the Nunawading bench are turning their thoughts to potential next opponent as Joffre marches forward, hits the byline and is stood up nicely by Isaiah Hussein. Cavallo. Inside passing lane was open. Joffre stabs it forward, and in the end it finishes in the breadbasket of Michael Cortesis. Isaiah Hussein in that fullback spot on the left-hand side is pretty impressive.
He's done really well. He's done really well. Been full of energy, been aggressive as well, which is what they've needed. But I must say, I think when Filippo Joffre got into that position, he took one touch too many there. He kind of waited. He should have shot early. He had a great opportunity there. From a Darwin Olympic perspective, though, you got to feel for Endry Prifty up front. He's had a pretty isolated night, hasn't he? He's worked so hard.
Probably wishes he was back on Mindle Beach.
He probably wished he went to Oasis as well.
There's a well-intentioned ball over the top. Joffre will recycle it at the far post. Kabenko still will have one eye on joining Stewie Edgar in hat-trick watch. It was a lovely attempted nutmeg. A full-blooded challenge from Tane Stevenson, who is not best pleased at the ease in his eyes with which Kabenko hit the floor. Hussein. Play is going to be pulled back for the foul on the 15-year-old. And what are you thinking more about if you're Nunawading? Thank goodness this has been a relatively comfortable affair so we can turn our attention to the trip to North Geelong next week, or are you starting to think about who you might want to see in a round of 16 draw? Yeah,
well, I think looking at the table, I think they need to concentrate on their league form because they're in a pretty tough spot actually at the moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm sure they'll be looking at all the big A-League teams that they could be playing next up.
Here comes Harry Hodges, the central defender. Oh, what a moment. 18-year-old Harry Hodges is a scorer on the national stage. From the mini-roos to the seniors, and now a special memory for one of Nuna's young guns in the round of 32. And it is an outright scoring record for Nunawading Football Club.
Well, it just opened up for him and he kept going, and he just a little toe poke. You don't see that often anymore, but Romario in the 90s used to do that very well, but it just took a bounce before the goalkeeper there. It's very unlucky, but we have our record, Lucky.
There you go. Nunawading making headlines, inking themselves in the history books in their first game on the national stage. And the Nunawading juniors, who no doubt will be watching on this game, that is the opportunities that are available for those in the junior pathway. Harry Hodgic, who started out as a striker, actually scored his first goals for Nunawading in the state rounds of the Cup. As a 15-year-old, scored 2 goals on debut.
Well, really positive football. He drove straight at their defence, but yeah, you got to feel for the goalkeeper just the way the ball bounced up. But don't shoot, don't score, and he certainly took his opportunity.
You could tell it was the sort of run from a central defender who used to play as a striker. He thought, sod this, I've seen 8 goals go in, I want to be involved.
Yeah, absolutely. And now he is.
Great moment for the 18-year-old. Spent a bit of time on the books at Western United as well before returning to Nunawading. It's the natural thing you start to think about, Roy. Surely you've got to be thinking about it as well. Every time the score ticks up, something new, double digits.
Yeah.
Could it be? We're all thinking about it, right?
No, absolutely. But look, from a Darwin Olympic perspective now, you know, a little bit of pride here. Can we get to the game without getting to double figures? Just get everybody behind the ball, make it difficult, you know.
And they have, in fairness to them, closed up shop, and they are playing with 10 as Paraskos Coombe comes forward. Dennis Martin Hasn't been called into action very often, but when he has been switched on and alert.
No, he's been sharp. That was actually a big moment there. So very sharp from Dennis Martin, keeping himself warm in the 89th minute.
Good ball for Dimitriou. Options are plenty open to him in the penalty area, but they'll have to bide their time as the corner comes shortly. Smart Teofile.
And who would have thought, Lockie, at 10:30 this morning, when they were learning about history, they were going to create some history by 10 o'clock that night.
Very good.
There you go.
Been sitting on that one for a while.
Ah, well, at least 45 minutes.
Corner swung in nicely, but cleared away by Darwin before it could reach the head of Fuki Ishibashi. Nodded forwards by Reardon, and an easy claim for Michael Cortesis. Certainly a trip to the territory from which Nunawading will return home with plenty of good stories in the year to come. As the fourth official adds a solitary minute on to their debut bout. Not long now before Nunawading have the chance to taste the sweet taste of victory on the national stage. With the eyes of Australia on them. A chance for one last attacking foray. Are City content with what they've got? Don't want to have one more push. Well, they'll get a free kick. So this is something. Sprayed across to Matete. He's going on a one-man mission, the central defender. Runs out of real estate. Stoppage time expires. And the Cinderella story of Nunawading City will continue on to the round of 16. Debut performers on the national stage, and they did it in the way that only Nunawading City could do. In a headline fashion, a record win on the national stage of the Australia Cup. 9 goals for Nunawading on their debut bout, and they become just the third side from the third tier of state football to progress in the Cup. It is a special night for the boys from Marnie's Reserve. An Australia Cup debut beyond their wildest dreams. The full-time score at Larrakia Park. Darwin Olympic 0, Nunawading City 9. I mean, Roy O'Donovan, Nunawading City, they said in the lead-up that the territory team, the away trip was what they wanted. They could never have envisioned something like this because they were just breathtaking and swashbuckling with their football from start to finish. And it was 6 goals in the first half that got them up and running. Depending on the draw, to see that mural on the national stage in pictures.